So this is a 24 click adjustable dampening system for the Fortune Auto 500s and the DC5. And so these are the rears. And so pretty much I want to set it to half. So I'm going to set it to 12. And so it's pretty much just moving this around and setting the clicks. I've already set the rears, but we're going to go do the fronts right now. So a quick note about the adjusting system for the Fortune Auto 500s on the RSX. The adjustment system is through these spinning levers at the top mount of the rear. And the reason why I show it in the rear here is because this is the more common one. So for the RSX, I mentioned in my unboxing video, it is on the bottom of the front shocks. You can see it in there. And the tube is quite long. And so the way you're gonna get around it is actually getting an extension. So what I have here, I'm gonna grab it now, is a 6-inch extension. And this is 16 millimeters because the top spinning lever, don't know what it's called, for the rears is 16. And it just grabs onto these little grooves here, right? And so we're gonna do the same for the top. And so same mechanism, counterclockwise is soft, clockwise is hard. And they set it at 5 from soft. And so what I want to do is actually set it in the middle, so I'll be able to know, just get a feel for the car when it's kind of completely center. And once I figure it out, then I'll adjust from there. So what does it mean when the front shocks are, the adjustment lever is on the bottom of the front? It means you have to jack up the car, and then you'll stick one of these extensions under the car, check where it's at, and adjust it from there. And you don't need much. You can do it by hand. You don't need a kind of a ratchet, as I picked up there. You just need this. So it's all the way it's soft, so I'm just gonna go 12 clicks to the right, clockwise, to make it hard. And so the reason why I was quiet is because I'm listening for the clicks as well as I can feel the clicks as it's going around. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, and then we'll go ahead and get started with the installation. So we're gonna remove this shock here, and it's simply taking off the 3 bolts at top. I already taken out the 2 bolts connecting the knuckle to the shock itself. So once I take off the 3 bolts at top, as you can see here, it's just gonna drop down. In order to keep it from dropping down, I'm gonna hold the shock as tight as I can while I take off that last bolt. All right, so took off the second, taking off the third. And it's loose. It's heavy, and we're going to just slide it right out. Now, if you can see here, I just adjusted the camera to point at the shock. This is the new Fortune Auto on the left side, and the old one, which isn't OEM. OEM comes in black. This is a Speedy Strut by Sensen. I don't know what brand that is, but it wasn't even using the normal 14 millimeter kind of bolts at the top. It was using some type of 15 millimeter version. So those weren't OEM, nor was it fitting, just the normal one. But just a quick look, you know, I think what we're running is, you know, same construction. We're gonna have the brake line here. We're gonna have the ABS sensor, which I had just taken off and didn't realize at the time is still there. And then construction is the same. I think the height's the same based on what I have done. But I might lower it some more. I just haven't decided yet, and we'll do that when we're in the car. And so we're ready for installation. I just wanted to show it side by side so you guys see a difference. So I've taken off the hardware for the Fortunato top mounting bracket, and so it's just got to sit on the side. We're gonna put it in through the bottom and then put the hardware on top so it holds everything in place. One thing to note is you should face the mount. I think it's going to be in this direction. They don't give you instructions, but mostly because you want to be able to slide the camber adjusters side to side with your car. That way you can adjust the wheels, you know. So it's either this direction or this direction, but it'll never be that direction, right? And so based on what I can tell, your bolts should match up with it, but we'll go ahead and put it this way because I think this is the direction. So I'm just kind of guiding it through right now, and I'm gonna see if it lines up correctly. There you go. And it does. And I'm 90% sure this is the direction it's supposed to go. So put the screws on, and they go on really easy. There you go. We have 2 of them on, and we'll just put on the 3rd. There you go. And that's kind of what it looks like. Yep. And so I'm gonna torque them down to spec, and then I'll show you guys what the bottom looks like. So we're ready to torque the top mounting bolts, and we're going to torque them at 33 foot-pounds. It's already set that on the torque wrench. And these bolts, all 3 of them are 33 foot-pounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push them up a little bit and then start torquing them. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. Just to get it kind of all the way up there. And it looks like it is up. And now I'm gonna torque it. So it's beeping, so it's almost there. And now I'm just gonna watch it and just try to get it exactly at 33. That solid sound means I hit it at 33. So we're pretty much ready to connect all the bolts to the Fortunato arm. We're gonna do the steering knuckle last, and we're gonna start with these bolts here. I'm gonna turn the shock just so you guys can see. If you noticed, this bolt's elongated, and that's for if you wanted to add a camber bolt here. Obviously there's camber adjustments up top, but sometimes that's not as good as having a camber bolt here. So it's kind of up to you if you want to add one. And then there's just the regular standard OEM hardware there. So that's just a perfect circle, that's an oval. And we're just gonna slide the knuckle back into place. Then we're gonna connect all the lines. I purchased some new hardware. So these are the front strut nuts, part number 90382 SP0003. And it looks like this, brand new nut there. And then I also purchased a brand new bolt right over here. And that's the part number here. I wrote it down, 90119 S6M Z01. And what I'm gonna use this bolt for, and the replacement of the old one is here. You can still use the old ones, but I just wanted new hardware. So what I'm doing just to make life easier is I'm getting a floor jack, bringing it underneath, and it's gonna use the rotor to push it up. That way I can just align it using the floor jack as leverage and guiding it in. So look at that, goes in pretty easily. And we'll just put the first bolt in there. And then I want to get the second bolt in there too. So once you get the first one, it's just about kind of moving it back and forth until you get the hole to line up perfectly. You might have to bring the jack up or down. In this case, we'll just have to bring it up a little bit. You could use a hammer. I like this rubber mallet because it's a little softer to it. We'll lift up the brake line and just hit a little bit. And now, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll twist the hub. See that? Where my finger is right now. Bolt in all the way. I'm just gonna take the new nut, just spin it around. And so that's in all the way. We just need to do the top nut. I'm gonna go off camera and look at the torque specs real quick, and then we'll come back. Give you guys a quick look of what I've been doing. This is my floor jack method. So I pretty much, or everyone probably uses it, pretty much put the floor jack on bottom. Don't want to crush the dust shield, but you do want to put it at the edge. That way it uses this part of the rotor, pushes up, gives you enough leverage to guide those bolts in. So we're pretty much done torquing everything. I used several torque wrenches to torque the outer tie rod at 40 foot-pounds, the top mount at 101, the bottom bolt at 116, brake line at 16 pounds, and then two behind where the ABS line is, one on the shock, one on the wheel sensor at 7.2 foot-pounds because it's only 10 millimeters. And we're pretty much done torquing this. We're just gonna take a set of pliers and kind of bend these out, and we're pretty much done with this install. So that's what the Fortune Autos looks like on the front side. We're just gonna do the other side. So removing the rear shocks pretty much involves backing out one bolt at the bottom. So after taking out the interior panels, there are two 14 millimeter bolts to disconnect. Some people take off this section completely, but one workaround is using a 14 millimeter and a swiveling socket like this, and that should allow you to access it without taking everything out. Now you're gonna need a 6-inch extension as well, and that should be all you need to take it out. So pretty much like that. And that's going to allow us to pull out this back bolt here, which we've just done. And the other thing we need to just remove is just this bolt here. So it's pretty much removed now, and we just need to remove the bottom bolt. We're going to do the same thing with the other side as well. And this bottom bolt is connected by one bolt. But once you unloosen it, you have to take a pair of pliers and just kind of help it out. Pretty much just slide it out. All right, so we've taken out the rear suspension, we've dropped it right out, and you can see this is the difference between the two. Obviously, because of these are coilovers, we're lowering it quite a bit, and so you can see that it's probably gonna drop about 1.5 inches, maybe even more. And we still have another inch to play with here. Obviously, you can swap it out with those kind of black hubs and do the same thing, but for us, we're just gonna try this one and see kind of how it works. At 43. So the bottom's going to be at 45 and the top's going to be at 43. And so right now we're just going to torque this down at 45. And that's 45.1, so that's torqued down to spec. We're gonna switch over to the other side real quick. You can see that one there. And we're gonna do the same. 43, 44, 45.1. So that's at 45, and we're done with the bottom.